I'm currently on the Jobs for TN site. As many of you know, this site provides information for individuals looking to file a claim, find a job, obtain job skills, and many other
job-related services. It
It
also
also
provides
provides
tools for employers such as posting job openings, finding job applicants, and responding to claim notices.
On May 27th, the unemployment insurance tax functionality will be incorporated into employer e-services on jobsfortn.gov. We are here to demonstrate some of the new tax functionality for employers that features an online portal for simple, intuitive UI account management, a more integrated way to file wage reports and make payments, and a streamlined way to submit and respond to requests and view correspondence from the department. To access the Employer e-Services portal from this page, you would click the link down here under the Employer panel called Login to Unemployment Employer e-Services. To access this is what you would see on Employer e-Services. A couple of notes before we start. We will be doing our demonstration in a testing environment, so you may notice that the run date here reflects a date in the future. This is to reflect a time period after the new functionality is in place and accommodate some data build elements. In addition, all the data that you see is fictitious, so any semblance to actual employers is purely coincidental. For those of you who have previously visited Employer e-Services, you may notice that there will be more panels on the homepage to incorporate the new employer tax functionality. The first panel is for new employees, TPAs, and PEOs that have not registered with Jobs for TN. This process, when registering, will also include creating a logon for access to the online account. This next panel is for employers, TPAs, and PEOs that are registered with Jobs for TN and have utilized 10POS or TPU to file wage reports, but do not have an online account in Employer e-Services. On May 27th, you will be able to click here to sign up for access to your employer tax account. Information about wage reporting file formats will be on this panel since wage reports will now be filed in Employer e-Services. This next panel allows employers and employees to respond to the listed information requests by clicking the respective link and entering an access code. Some additional resources for employers can be found here. And the last panel is to report UI fraud or tax fraud to the department. Starting May 27th, existing Employer e-Services users with full online account access will be able to log in using existing credentials on the login panel and see their UI tax account information. With that, we encourage employers, TPAs, and PEOs that are registered with Jobs for TN but do not have access to an online account with e-Services to sign up after this demo, so you have immediate access to your UI tax account information when logging in on May 27th. If you do create your e-Services online account login prior to Friday evening on May 23rd, you will just need your FEIN, your EAN, and your 10POS access code. And you would be able to enter that here. Now we will show how an existing Jobs for TN user will register for web logon to access UI tax account information on or after May 27th. First, we will click here on Sign Up for an Online Account. As stated on this page, an existing Jobs for TN user without access to online services will need to have their FEIN or SSN to continue the process. Please note, if you're registered with Jobs for TN for UI tax purposes to file wage reports via 10POS or TPU, but not to perform UI benefits related activities such as responding to fact finding or filing a UI benefits appeal, you may not have received a letter from Jobs for TN and will need to request a letter from Jobs for TN before you can obtain access to your UI tax account by providing the business's FEIN before creating the online services account logon. In this example, we are going to use someone that has previously registered with Jobs for TN for UI benefits functionality. So we will click the Next button. You will note here that there are some red asterisks. This indicates that these fields are required. We're going to enter the FEIN and letter ID in the respective fields so that way we can get an online access. Please note that, of course, if the business was registered with the SSN instead of the FEIN, you would click this box here and enter the SSN instead. Now we'll click the Next button. Since that information was accepted, we can create the account. The first thing you need to enter is your email. So we're going to enter an email for Ringo Starr. This next step requires you to verify your email. So when you are signing up for an online account, make sure that you have access to your email so that you can verify it with this next step. Since we are in a testing environment, when I click this verify email button, I will have the option to populate because I'm in a testing environment. However, you would take the verification code that you received in your email and enter it here in the verification code field. If by any chance you didn't receive your verification code, you can click the resend, or if you realize the email is not correct, you can click here to use a different email.
Now that we have the verification code entered, we can click the Confirm button. Once you have done that, you will be selecting a password. Please note the password requirements below. They must be at least 8 characters in length, have uppercase and lowercase letters, contain letters and numbers, and at least 1 special character. You will enter the password here and then confirm it here. Oops. If at any time you need to confirm the password that you have typed, you can click on the eye icon to see what the password was. Once you have done that, you will be selecting a secret question. There is a list of secret questions to select from, or you can write your own question. In this case, I will just select one of the questions here and then enter my secret answer. Once those match and have been confirmed, you can click the Next button. Here you enter your contact information. Then you can select your communication preferences here. I would like to only receive electronic communications whenever possible, so I will leave this option selected here and click Submit. Now we are on the confirmation screen. You will see that you have a confirmation here and has been submitted successfully. Now you can click OK. Once you have signed up for your online account, you will have access to everything that you have we have records for. In this case, Ringo Starr is brand new, so we are going to log out of his account and log into another account that has both UI benefits access and tax access, so that way you can see what that looks like. Now we are going to log into the Allman Brothers account. Here, we are on a landing page or the home page. We are presented with the Summary tab, and on the Summary tab, it displays all the accounts that Dwayne Allman, here with the name identified here, has access to. It's an unemployment insurance tax, and he has employer information here with the tax rate amount indicated here. He has a $0 balance in the account information panel. He has a fact-finding questionnaire that is due by October 11th, which is not yet late because it is October 5th right now. and he has a 2027 Q3 wage report that needs to be filed. Each of these panels contain related links that have information or actions that you can take related to the information that's presented. We will go over how to file a wage report in a moment. First, we're going to go look at the other tabs available. Here we have the Action Center tab. This is a tab will display any tasks that need to be done. In this case, the fact-finding questionnaire is also presented here. This is the Settings tab, and this basically allows you to set your preferences for mail. On the More tab, there's a lot of other actions that can be performed. You can search recent submissions that have been sent. You can do your name and address management. You can send and view messages to the agency, view letters that have been received from the agency, perform actions with payments and wage reports, and view your access management. The messages function here is very key, because if you want to be able to communicate with someone, but you don't need to speak to someone on the phone, this is a great way to communicate with the department. If you ever want to go back to the home page, you can always click this right here, and it'll just bring you back to this page if you ever get kind of lost with everything that's going on. Because this, again, one thing to highlight is because the Allman Brothers brand has access to UI benefits, that's why this fact-finding questionnaire panel is displayed here. If you want to be able to access your TPA third-party access, you're going to be clicking the Manage My Web Profile link up in the upper right-hand corner. On here, you're displayed with a Profile tab that displays your information as well as your security information. The Action Center displays any unread messages that you can read. On the More tab is where you can manage your access. You can manage access to another employer's account, your access, third-party access, of course, delete your profile. There are other actions that you can perform here too, such as setting up secondary and additional logons, your payment channels, submissions, and messages. We're going to go into a little more detail about the third-party access by clicking this link here. These settings right here determine if accountants or third parties can request access to your accounts and what level of access they can get. Because it says yes here in the allowed field, that means that you are allowing third-party administrators to have access to your account. Please know that they will have to have your FEIN and EAN to obtain access. However, at any point, if you do not want to have third-party administrators access your account, you can simply click the Yes hyperlink, and it will give you an option to confirm that you want to disallow third-party logins. However, we want to allow third-party logins, so we will not select that and click No. You'll see here that Dwayne has allowed access to Tina at TPA.com. If at any point you want to view or change her access, you can simply click the email in the username column here and be able to manage her access here. You notice that her access is third party, and for the unemployment insurance tax account, she has full access to this account. At any point, if you want to change it, you can click the Manage link here or the Manage account access here, and when you do that, you'll be presented with the ability to either update it by clicking on the link and then selecting the type of access you want to change it to, which would either be filing returns and making payments, so UI tax functionality, or UI benefits functionality. You can also restrict or allow access to only certain periods from either a specific date or with a date range here. Tina has access to all periods, and she has full access to both UI tax and benefits, so her type of access is listed as employer full access. Since we are okay with this, we have not made any changes, you can click cancel or save, and any changes that you made will be saved here. If at any time you're wondering which TPA that you're working with or logon that you're working with, you can look in the upper left-hand corner and note that it was Tina that you were working with. If you want to go back to the third-party logons, you can click here and go back here. Great. Now we are going to show you how to file a wage report. Good news, in the Employer e-Services site, you will no longer need an access code like you did in TenPAUS to file and pay reports. Everything is going to be within your logged in session. In order to do that, let's go back to the home page by clicking the Employer e-Services link in the navy blue banner. You remember that we had an action here that said that the 2027 Q3 quarterly report or wage report needed to be filed. So we can click this link here and get to how to file a wage report. You'll notice here that there's right now is no balance due. It confirms that you are on the third quarter of 2027 and when the report is due. This next question allows you to select whether or not you have wages to report for the quarter. If you didn't, you would select no. This would allow you to have a pre-populated no payroll report submitted to the department. However, we have wages to report, so we are going to click the yes button. We will have some follow-up questions that we want to answer. We are going to import wages from a file for this demonstration, show you how that looks, but we are going to respond no to reporting or Tennessee employer wages to another state. And then we will click next. Here we presented options to do a file upload. We can upload the 58 character text file or the abbreviated ISESA file. If you want more information about each of these two files, you can go over to the file format and sample file links on the respective row to find out some more information. We are going to be using an abbreviated ISESA wage report for this demonstration, so I will select this. Then you can upload a file by clicking here. The Allman Brothers already has a file to upload, so we will select that. And it is here. Then we'll click the next button. This next page shows all the information that was uploaded from the file onto this wage details table. We have 7 employees that are being reported, and we have the wages reported here. If at any point you look at the wage detail information on the screen and you realize that there is an error, you can make changes on this table. This table would also be the table that you would populate if you were actually manually entering information instead of using a file. So if you want to delete somebody because they are no longer an employee and they were in the file erroneously, you can click the X button in the row that has their name to delete the record. At the same time, if you want to add an employee, you can also do that here. I will do that just to demonstrate how it looks when you enter in information. And then you can enter in the wages there. And when you are done, you will be able to click next. Keep in mind, if there were any errors, for example, you could click here and that would show you what the errors are, such as duplicate SSNs or duplicate line entries, so on and so forth. There are also optional fields here that you can fill out if you'd like, such as employment, the SOC code, and the start date. Then we can click next. Here's where you enter your number of employees. Please note that on the previous page, which we can access by clicking the breadcrumb up here, we had 8 employees entered. So on the next step, if you were to enter a number that is bigger than the number of employees that were entered, you would receive an error message. We did not have 10 employees reported, we only had 8. So we'll go back and correct that. Once you've entered the correct information for the number of workers for each month within the filing period, you can click Next. This panel allows you to review all the information with a summary. It has the number of workers that you entered, the total wages, excess wages, and the taxable wages. You might have noticed now that there is a total due. This is because there was an employee that was added that was not at the taxable wage limit yet, so there are premiums due on those wages. It also has a summary of the tax rate, any penalties and interest that you have, credits, and again, the total due. You can also re-review all the wage details that you have in here to make sure that the information is correct. And right here on the taxable wages, you can tell that these are the 2 employees that had the taxable wages that resulted in the fee being due of $161.20. Once you're satisfied with the information entered, please click the Next button. Here, you're able to do a payment. We will demonstrate this now by saying, yes, we want to make a payment now, so we don't have to worry about making the payment later. We know we owe a balance, so we'd like to do that now, so we'll click Yes and select Next. Here, you're provided some fields to populate your bank account information. This field right here asks you to confirm the amount that you're going to be paying that is due, which is $161.20. The payment date defaults to today's date, which remember is October 5th, 2027, because we are in a future date for our testing environment. But you can enter a date in here as far out as 30 days in advance. Here is the routing number. For the purposes of the demonstration and to make it a little bit faster, we're going to go ahead and populate one. However, you would enter your routing number here based on the banking institution that you bank with. Then you confirm your account number. Select your bank account type. And if you'd like, you can save this account for future use by clicking the Yes button. You can keep the default name as displayed here, or you can update it. So that way you know which account it is that you're using. Whoops. You can confirm your billing information here and click Next. Now you can confirm your submission. You carefully review all the following statements below, and once you are ready to submit your wage report, you can enter a digital signature here. And then you click the Submit button. This is your confirmation screen. Please make note of your confirmation number in case you have any questions about this and want to speak to someone. This will allow them to be able to find the information about your submission much faster. A summary of the submission is included below, along with some next steps, including the option to be able to amend your wage report should you ever want to do that within the system by just simply staying in your logged in session on your eServices account. Once you're okay, you can have a printable view of this or click OK. This page also allows you the option to provide any feedback on the process that you'd like to share with the department. Now you will note a couple of things that have changed with the summary page or the summary tab. First, the action item below for the 2027 Q3 wage report is no longer here. If you ever want to be able to see what it is that you submitted, you can go ahead and search on the More tab, search submissions. By clicking here, you can reference the wage report that you sent in today, which was October 5th, 2027. Another really cool feature that we have in Employer eServices is being able to see some of your historical information, especially if you've been with the department for a while. If you click on the Employer Services link in the Employer Information panel on the Summary tab, you will be able to see your historical tax rates. All the tax rates here are displayed below for the fiscal year in which they apply, along with a summary of what the total tax rate is. If you ever want to see more detail, you can simply click the UI tax rate link for the respective year to see more details. The tax rate is restated up here, and it also gives you a lot more information about that tax rate. This includes the UI tax rate, the NAICS sector, and the first experience rate year, annual totals, including the taxable wages for the previous years for 2025, 24, and 23, respectively, the annual premiums paid, the annual benefits charged, and then the reserve calculation with the formulas above and the fields below. So we have the cumulative premiums paid here, the cumulative benefits charged here, the reserve total, the average taxable wages, and the reserve ratio, along with the premium table. If at any point you want to view the premium rate charts, you can click this link here. There's a lot of other historical information as well that you can view, such as wages, and even being able to perform a wage search. You can either do it by a filing period or the employee SSN. So if you ever need to look up information on a specific person, I can show what that will look like now by entering a social security number that we have and then clicking search. And then you will be presented with all the information of the wage search results and all the wages that were reported, the filing period in which they were reported. And if you want to dig into a little bit more information about the wage report that it was filed on, you can simply click the View Wage Report in the Wage Source column. You can also view charge statements, determinations, previously filed appeals, benefit history, and of course, this tab is the Additional Services tab, and there are additional functions that you can perform here within eServices, including business transfers, requesting a 940 certification letter, closing your employer tax account if you want to cease it, searching previously done submitted submissions, messages, letters, payments and reports, protests, reviews, and review and redeterminations and appeals. So being able to file a charge protest, requesting a subpoena or a new hearing, employee reporting, including a permanent mass layoff and then employer filed claims, applying for a seasonal employer status, and shared work information. Now we're going to go back to the home page. If at any point while you are logged in and you have any questions and you want to call somebody and provide them some information about where you are in your session, you can click the View Support menu and provide a support ID. This support ID is very useful when you're on the phone with a representative about a question on how to do something in eServices. Providing staff with this support ID allows them to view where you are at in eServices and guide you through your session. Please note that while staff can see where you are, they will not be able to perform actions in your logged in session. Simply click on the question mark to view that support, the support menu, as I did here, to request the support ID. That was all we had for this demonstration.
All right, well, let's start with the question about things you need to know about letter IDs, first of all. So whoever has the best answer for that, for the folks to hear, come on there and answer about letter IDs and the questions you're seeing in the chat about that.
Morning, my name is Charles Jansen. I'm a director here at the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And to address letter IDs are used for log-on registration and can be located at the top right of any letter received from the Tennessee Department of Labor's UI benefits agency within the last year. For example, a benefit claim determination letter. That's one example. If you do not have a letter from the UI agency, you may request a letter via the web logon registration itself.
A lot of questions about passwords, and if you already have an account, do you need to go in and create a new account? What will the process be come May 27th when people need to get in there and access their accounts?
Good question. TN Pause logins and passwords will not be applicable with this new system with the employer's e-services. You're welcome to use your former password if you would like to, but you will need to register a new web logon on employer e-services to access tax functionality after May 27th. So again, you will need to register for the new system once again.
And that's something folks can do now. So if you're seeing this now, you can go in and register in the new system. So come May 27th, you're ready to go. What about TPAs and employers giving access to TPAs? What do they need to know about that?
Yeah, anyone with a web logon can set up a TPA access on their account. So it's pretty straightforward. Yep.
All right. Again, this is all going live May 27th, Tuesday, May 27th. The 10 Pulse system and TPU are down now, so we can make that transition. So we can get to all this new system on May 27th. Again, these webinars will be recorded. They are recorded and will be posted on tn.gov/workforce. There's a banner at the top that talks about the downtime for the TPA and 10 Pulse. You click on that, it'll take you to the page, and they will eventually be there probably within the next 48 hours. Again, if you want to learn more about the TPA process, there's a webinar at 1 o'clock Central Time today. You can register for that webinar on that same page at the very bottom. You'll find the WebEx webinar registration link there as well. We apologize for those audio issues in the end, but we think we got all the information out to everybody who could hear it. And we appreciate you joining us today and look forward to really modernizing Tennessee's unemployment tax system. And this completes the modernization of that. You know, we did benefits about 1.5 years ago, and now UI tax. And you know, if you've been working with this system, it is very manual, very paper oriented, and this takes everything really into the 21st century and will make everyone's lives a lot easier. And we hope you enjoy it because it is going to be a great addition to Tennessee. Thank you, everybody, and we appreciate your time today. Thank you.